What's up, everybody? Welcome to From the Archive, the series in which I'm going to go through my personal stash, an archive of books, whether it's wargame related or not, and pick one and share it with you all, like talk about it, things of that nature. Over the years of being, a nerd and into this hobby and whatnot, I've amassed a collection of books, and for one reason or another, I tend to keep them, and whether or not I even really enjoy them, I just tend to keep them because I like physical, tangible books on stuff. And a lot of these books, pretty much all these books you're looking at here in one way or another, has helped shape my personal tastes, thoughts, and ideas when it comes to collecting miniatures in this wargaming hobby, maybe as direct inspiration or just something in the back of my mind. So I thought it would be cool as I unpack these things to share them with you. So what I'm going to do in each ramble, I'm going to pick one book kind of haphazardly, and I'm gonna go sit down at the table with you, and we're gonna look through it. I'm gonna give a basic thought synopsis on it, share my opinions on it, break it down a little bit, maybe look inside of it a little, and just talk about it, whether it's a novel, a codex, or a tabletop RPG book or whatever. So some of these books I have multiples of for some reason, not really sure why. Other books I do not, and it's just going to be some fun. I thought it'd be cool to kind of get some insight, perhaps, and share my thoughts on stuff that I have in my small little personal collection here, and for you all to share your thoughts as well on what I'm looking at when it comes to the book in question. What you have? Do you have the same book? What are your thoughts on it? And things like that. So this should be a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab one of these books, and I'll meet you at the table. Welcome back to the table, and welcome to Season 2 of From the Archive. As I mentioned in the finale for Season 1, I would be expanding the horizons of From the Archive to include things other than printed media, like books and magazines or whatever, because there's a lot of stuff you can archive, and a lot of fun stuff to talk about a bit that might be interesting for the nerddom and other people as well. And I say the nerddom of being into 40K and the miniature wargaming and beyond, right? So that's why I thought I would expand the horizons a little bit, and to kind of be the catalyst of that, or not so much a catalyst, kind of the evidence of that, I thought I'd kick off Season 2 with something that is not a book. So as I kind of quickly decided to do in Season 1, I'll start off with an episode of something 40K related specifically, more than likely miniature wargame related to that effect, but not necessarily that case. And then the next episode after that will be something not 40K related, and it'll be back and forth. So with that said, we're looking at the Chapel Sanctuary from Games Workshop. As you can see, it's got a fancy felt lining, on the bottom. And it is kind of what I would consider a premium focal point piece, because it's felt lined. But aside from that, it is fully painted, and comes with this stained glass effect. Mine's a little bowed out here on this piece, and a little bit over here as well from just being in storage, and for having it outside the box for like a decade. But the one unfortunate part of moving around a lot is a lot of my stuff kind of gets stifled in storage and gets a little bit worse for wear. But this thing survived relatively well. There's two little tip pieces broken here. You can easily paint over that to blend it in. And there's a little bit of a piece of a stone that's been chipped that's easily paintable on the back. But other than that, I think it held up really well. I don't remember the cost of this thing, because it was at least a decade from when I purchased it. What I do know, or what I do believe in recalling, is that it had a premium price point for it. Remember, scaling it back to a decade or so ago. But it wasn't something crazy. I wouldn't equate it to something Forge World price, because Forge World stuff tends to be more of a premium price than its GW 40K counterparts and so forth. But anyway, it wasn't a Forge World price thing for 40K, but it wasn't your standard terrain kit price either that we have nowadays. It's unfortunate that they never expanded upon this premium range and called it something, because I would have loved to have seen what they would have done elsewise. Maybe something Xenos related, because they are capable of being terrain pieces, sure, but they're more of a focal point piece for photography and for doing something like a display board, because they sit very nicely, very securely, very flush on the table in terms of being square. They have enough of a footprint for your big bad villain or hero to be on, and maybe a bit of a retinue here and there. But it's not the most gaming friendly piece of terrain, and it doesn't have to be. Insofar as you can't put a 10-man Devastator squad in here or a combat squad and Devastator squad in here very comfortably. A 5-man squad on 32mm bases nowadays will be a pretty tight fit in here, with one guy more than likely up here. But it could work. It's just, it's not meant to be purely a gaming perspective thing. More so to be a cool piece to put a hero model on, and so on. But that's okay. Terrain doesn't have to be the most usable thing, right? That's why lava pools and lava rivers and acidic pools and goop and oceanic pieces exist in terrain boards, where you can't stay on them, you can go over them, but that's about it. That's why you have jagged cliff face stuff, which you can't scale, or with a standard infantry model, or you have densely packed wooded terrain that you really can't put models in, but to go around. Some stuff is meant to be played through and be iterative terrain. Other stuff is meant to be kind of boundary terrain, as you could call it, where you have to move around it. And this is a semi-hybridization, you could say, in that aspect. But it's more just a focal point piece for photography and looking cool, that you could throw on a gaming table and it would look right at home, especially if the rest of the ruined imperial cities had terrain pieces had similar stonework color-wise. I would have loved to have seen this taken up a notch, or not so much up a notch, but expanded upon, maybe having something like an orc Wa banner piece, or something like a ruined elder webway that's semi-functional, or just something so you could take your Farseer and put it on there, or take your Warboss, or take something even Tau like your Ethereal or your Chasseau, and have it standing on there for a cool picture, and not just be, look at the ruin I conquered, you know what I mean? But instead it did go away eventually. So I guess I'll turn it a little bit. It slots in. The fit is well enough. As you can see, it slots in here. Doesn't quite sit flush, but it doesn't take away from the look of the piece. It looks ruined. It looks fine. You're not looking at a surgical precision or sterile piece. It's definitely lived in, you could say. You got a dead space one here, maybe his other shoulder pad over here. It's black armored, no identifying marks, so it could be black consoles, maybe. It could be whatever, doesn't really matter. I have seen, when this is more prevalent, people take it, and then those who are really savvy with painting and everything add to it, repaint over stuff, maybe change the coloration of the Space Marine to fit it, or they add spikes and make it chaosy, or they to kind of showcase something, or they add tufts of grass or whatever to it. Try brush maybe some metallic over the I-beam and whatnot. Just, they do some things to further enhance it. I think it's fine as is, and outside of just what I will do eventually, maybe touch up parts that have broken so you can't tell that it's broken off, which are just two really minor stuff really. I'm going to leave it as is. I think it looks fine, and I think it's a good showcase of what they were able to offer back in the early to mid 2000s that still holds up today. So I'm not sure if you've seen one of these at maybe your local game store in the past, or you know somebody who owns one, or you own it yourself, but it's definitely a cool piece. Finding this online nowadays is going to be hit or miss, and the price point, I can almost imagine, is going to be blown out of the proportion and blown out of the water a bit. I would not say this is something you have to spend top dollar on. In fact, you might be able to make something more dual purposey than this. Something that could really fit a full 10-man squad in nicely, but also be a nice focal point for taking pictures and have extra stuff done and whatnot to it. But still, I think it was a cool piece that they offered. Sad that they never really brought it back or did something like this again. I would have liked to have seen more, because I just thought it was cool, especially the stained glass. As silly as that sounds, because you can take projector paper and do it yourself. Not everybody's gonna be comfortable doing that, or know how to do that. So the fact that it was in there and not just a hole where the window was really cool for me. Anyways, this has just been a look at the Chapel Sanctuary terrain-ish focal point piece thing from GW. A kind of a shortish, I don't know how short, but a shortish run of a premium kind of product, if you will. Fully, I'm gonna say painted and stuff out the gate. I'm assuming it's paint. It would have to be, right? But anyways, that is that. So what are your thoughts on the Chapel Sanctuary terrain ruin piece, if you will? I like it. I've used it in the past, way in the past, to just put some models on, take pictures for fun. I might end up using it again, because why not? But yeah, something pretty cool that you could easily, if you were putting a terrain board together, or let's say you were gaming somewhere and you had some terrain but you needed an extra piece or whatever to really flesh it out, you easily take this, throw it down on the table. Don't literally throw it, just put it down on the table and it would fit in and work, and just be part of helping you get immersed into the game you're actively playing. That's what terrain is really there for, outside of being something for tactics, right, and actually making strategery stuff. Yes, strategery stuff happen. It's meant to do that, to block line of sight, to force you to move a certain way, so make it so you don't just have unimpeded vision everywhere, to help your survivability of certain squads depending upon what's being shot at it. There's all of that gaming purpose for terrain, of course. But on top of that, in some ways more importantly, it is meant to help you get immersed into the universe you're actually playing in, right? It's not just textbooks and novels and stuff covered with towels blocking it, but it is a ruined structure, it is lava, it is a crater, it is whatever, and it helps you kind of make the cinematics happen in your mind. So anyways, with that said, a cool little piece, wanted to share it. Thanks very much for tuning in, and until the next one, take it easy.